Hey everyone, how you feeling? I'm feeling pretty bad, which comes as no surprise to anybody who has ever watched this channel more than 5 minutes. And knowing most of you in my audience as I do, I'm going to guess you're probably feeling bad too. Not the outcome we would have wanted for the election, but this has not been the outcome we would have wanted for the world for kind of a while now, for many years now. So why should this year be any fucking different? I want to talk about it. And most of what I say maybe has some hope mixed in there. So you can skip this one by all means. Jesus Christ, sit everything out for a minute. Just take the freaking day, take the week if you're not up to it. You don't have to watch shit. You don't have to doom scroll. But any number of you have said that you find my content soothing, and some of you even say you just put on shit where I talk for a long time just because you like to listen to me prattle on when you're doing other stuff. So I'll do my best for you here. We can get some dissatisfying things handled right off the hop. I am super freaking tired of watching the Democrats just constantly fumble the fucking football. And they're already, like, they're in line. They're in line right now trying to, well, the solution next time is, be more like the Republicans. Like, you're never going to out-Republican the Republicans. We have known this forever. I don't get it. But I'm not talking about the establishment right now. In your own circles, in your own, literally, like in your own social media feeds, in my social media feeds, we're already seeing tons of hot takes and reactions. And, oh, it was this, it was that. It was, it's because, she was supportive of too many bad policies. Oh, she didn't have a position. Oh, she was supporting the genocide. Oh, it's the economy. Oh, it's LGBTQ people. Oh, she had a funny laugh. Look, it can be many things, and it is many things. Anyone out there who tells you that, like, it was just racism or sexism is wrong. Anyone out there who tells you it had nothing to do with racism or sexism is also wrong. The world, as ever, is complicated. It kind of reminds me, actually, and I was thinking about this on the topic of the world being complicated. There is a quote that I want to attribute to someone I used to see more of back when I lived in Montana, Hank Green. I don't know, some of you might know Hank Green or his brother John, the author. And Hank's a lovely, lovely person. Well, almost everyone I knew back in Montana actually was lovely. No matter where you go in the world, even places you wouldn't expect to be fitting in, you can find your people. It's kind of another theme of this video, about finding your people. But I looked and looked for the video. I could not find where he said this. I swear it's him. I reached out. I sent an email. If I hear back, I'll confirm. Or maybe it was his brother. But essentially, the quote that I have in my mind has to do with complex systems and complex problems. Because I remember him saying, look, there are no more easy, simple problems in the world. We've solved them all. The world is a big place. It's a demanding place. It's a place where people have all these interests and aims and goals and wants and needs. And if there were any simple problems left that had easy solutions, like, be as cynical as you want, but we would have implemented them. Like, somebody somewhere would have said, hey, car tires should be round, not triangular. And like, oh, wow, look at that. It's easy. Look, you can prove that it's working. Let's all do round tires. We don't have simple problems anymore. We're only left with complex systems and complex problems. That's all we got. And complex problems take a lot of effort, usually collective effort, many people working together to solve them. And you think I'm going one place with this, and in a way I am, but I'm not right away. Yes, this is in some ways a video about what you can do and what you might want to turn to and where you can go with all of your outrage and anger and grief. But again, I'm going to try to mix in a little bit of hope. And here's your first morsel of that. The government is big and complex. It's a lumbering, huge monster. And that means, yes, it's hard to, like, change in a positive direction. It's also hard to change the government in a negative direction. And I know we're all afraid, this sort of runway and this roadmap and Project 2025, and like there's a real risk there. It's going to be shitty, right? It's going to be a lot of shitty people doing a lot of shitty things, but it's still a giant complex system. And it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time for them to try to do all the crappy, horrible things they want to do. And they're going to find tons of problems along the way. Remember, this is not a group of people with a plan, and they have no policies. Their whole goal is to enrich themselves, to tap dance and distract so that they can steal and grift as much as they can and enrich themselves and enrich their friends. You're going to see the same ineptitude that we've seen from the Democrats when they've been in power. You're going to see that again with this incoming crew of knuckleheads. You're going to see them step over each other, climb on each other, eat themselves, all trying to get a seat and a slice for themselves. So do they want to do horrible things? Yeah. Will they try to accomplish a lot of them? Yeah. Are they going to succeed? Not in a lot of their things. Keep that in mind. It's hard to change the government for the better. It's also kind of hard to change it for the worse. It's hard to change it at all. And yes, there's this deep concern that, well, that's the whole reason for this Project 25. Like, they really mapped it out. They're going to put all their people in place. They're going to have, they got a plan. Yeah, but we've spent how long now tracking all of their misdeeds? Like, how many of us got more politically active during the pandemic, during the Black Lives Matter uprisings? How many of us are more poised and more politically savvy? There's going to be more roadblocks than they are anticipating. There is going to be a lot of sand in the gears, not just at the individual level, but at the systemic level. Local governments, state governments, everyone is poised to do something with their outrage. You're going to see more than you might expect in terms of blockades and people fighting back in lots of innovative ways. And I hope you join that fight. I don't know if that helps a whole lot. How are y'all feeling? You can always let me know in the usual places and spaces. I'm not trying to drive engagement. I actually do really care about all of you, and I care about how you're doing. Moments when we are not in control and we feel that things are happening without us empowered to do anything about it are really dysregulating. As a species, we are wired. We are built to kind of be in control of the world around us. We are the apex predator. We use tools. Like, all of our evolutionary history in our wetware says that we should have a say in what's going on around us. And when we feel not in control, it can leave us feeling really humbled and at a loss for how to proceed. And people just kind of get brain lock. So that's what I wanted to talk about here. I'll talk about how I'm doing and what I'm doing, and maybe what you all can do as well. I imagine if you are telling me right now that you're feeling bad, many flavors of bad, many flavors of distraught, distressed, outrage, sad, angry, and that's totally valid. Like, you should be. That's a really common reaction to what we're facing. And I want to validate that for you. But like, just because it's common, that doesn't mean it's okay. You can hold those two truths together. Like, I am feeling this awful sense of dread. Yeah, you should be. But you shouldn't have to be, right? Try to keep that in mind. What you're going through is natural and normal, even though it shouldn't be something you're going through. How are you doing with eating and sleeping and just generally taking care of yourselves? That's the question I want to ask you, and that's the question I want you to be asking your loved ones and the people in your immediate circle. Being able to take care of yourself, just even in the sense of like, hey, I put on hard pants today. Like, I actually went out to see some friends and loved ones. Yeah, I know it seems unfathomable. It seems like impossible to grasp this idea, but like, what you're going through and what we're all going through and we're going to be going through come the new year, it's at some point it will be an experience that we are looking at as a memory. Like, you're living through it right now, and we're going to be living through it together. But it will become a story you reflect on, not a thing you are living and reliving day after day. You just have to get there. And there's a few ways we can talk about that. I literally do want people, if you're up for it, if you got the spoons for it, tell me your next steps. What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do next week? And if you can't think of anything for yourself, because a lot of us are very selfless people, tell me what you're doing for your neighbors and your friends. Tell me what you're doing for your loved ones. What are you going to do? What is the next person that you want to pull aside and say, hey, I'm just calling you because you're probably feeling rotten right now, and I wanted to ask what you ate today. Did you eat today? Who is that person in your life? I've talked about a lot of these themes before, obviously, about having your network, having your circle of people. Do you have your immediate friend group, connected to you? Are you just DMing and messaging on social media? Do you have their phone numbers? Do you have their email addresses? Are you all on Signal? Please, dear God, start using Signal if you're not already. I mean, how many of you have seen Lawyer, Passport, Locksmith, Gun? That talk of mine. And it pops up on the internet every so often. I get somebody must post it in some subreddit, and then I'll get a whole bunch of messages about it on Mastodon or on Blue Sky or something. And I've been getting a lot of reshares of that talk right now. I'll probably link it at the end of this video. It's worth a watch if you got the spoons for it. But again, small things you can do right now. If you don't want to watch an entire hour-long presentation that I gave, small things you can do right now. One, do this for me, if you would, right? If you got nothing else. Eat one proper, healthy meal. I'm saying you have to cook, but eat something that, your parents or loved ones would be proud that you ate. Not just kind of rummaging for some processed food thing that's in the cabinet, right? And do so while doing one thing in your house that makes you happy, that you'll feel good about, that you can feel like any kind of accomplishment. That could be as simple as sweeping the leaves off your front walkway, or sprucing up your front, maybe taking down your Halloween decorations if you haven't done that. Today, I love doing laundry and dishes personally. A lot of people don't like that. They see it as a never-ending task, and I see it as a discrete series of finite achievements each time. So yeah, we cooked a healthy breakfast this morning, and I ran the dishwasher. And I put on pants today. So that was, there you go. What's your accomplishment? You're going to eat one healthy meal and accomplish one thing that you care about. Feel free to tell me anywhere. Not looking for comments down there. Tell me wherever you want to tell me, or just tell your friends and loved ones and ask what they're doing. Did they eat a healthy meal? What's one thing that they picked up and just accomplished today? Second concrete thing you can do, and it will make you feel better. Continue organizing locally in your area. And when you hear that, there's been a lot of posts about this, and I'll link to some if I can find good stuff. I'll put it down in the doobly-doo, right? People think organizing means, well, you have to be an activist. You have to have a plan, man. You have to have a structure. No, you don't. Organizing can just mean be in community with people that care about you and that you care about. I have a weekly thing that I've had for a long time with people that I just love very much, and attending it once a week, and it just bounces between our different houses, right? But just attending that one gathering reminds me that I have community, and it reminds them that they are loved and cared for, and that we can turn to each other for support, and we do. Do me a favor, try to pick a place that if you don't have a meetup like this with your friends, an in real life meetup, try to pick a place that's not a bar. Make your meetup not just about drinking. I mean, crack one open, sure. We're going to do that in a minute in this video. But try to make it about kind of a family meal kind of atmosphere. Or maybe you all, I've got friends groups that do this. We all go shooting, and then we all go for sushi afterwards when we finish at the range. Or maybe you're going to make a bunch of care kits for your unhoused neighbors. I have an old video on this channel. I'll link it again down there. Make unhoused care kits. And you're going to walk around your neighborhood and give them out in parts of your city. You could do that. You could do so many things, but if you literally have nowhere if you want to be more politically active, and maybe a lot of you have never quite been out there in the streets, and you're man, I want to meet these kind of groups that you talk about, man. How do I meet my local Black Flag anarchist collective? I don't know how to look them up. Here's a place to go. Take your group of friends that you're just meeting with for your potluck dinners once a week. Go to your most regional city, whatever, your local Radical bookstore. Literally, type in like Radical Bookstore, your city's name. You will find, like, you'll find Left Bank Books, Red Amma's, Wooden Shoe, freaking Bone Shaker. Like, you'll find these places that are out there. Go there together. Go as friends. Go with an open mind. Be ready to listen. And just talk to the people there. Pick up some zines. Ask about, like, look at all the posters about what other events are happening, what mutual aid space is doing, this meetup, this gathering, this training session, this workshop. That's a great place to start. Find your local, like, anarchist bookshop. If you got nothing else, that's where you will find more community that you can build on. I think of the really, really wise words of one of my friends, Magpie, right now. She said that sort of every time there's an election year, her article about election years and her dog is great, but she's like, look, we collectively seem to forget that we have agency outside of voting, when most of the year, day in and day out, is not an election cycle. Most of the time, we're just in ordinary time of the year. You have agency. You have things you can do. And being active during ordinary times, during the political off-season, that's what gets things done. Moderate reforms are really only won by making radical demands. And a lot of you out there have not been part of the world that makes radical demands. If all you make are moderate demands, you will get nothing. You need to start really being serious about what you want and what your needs are, and be a part of movements in your towns if you want to see this change. So you're going to eat a proper meal and do something that's an accomplishment that you can say, well, I did that today. You're going to get together with your local peer group and say, we're going to make a pilgrimage out to our local shelter to give out food, or we're going to go over here to help clean up the local park, or we're going to go down to Firestorm and meet some people at the bookshop or something like that. And 3, you're going to have a drink. You deserve it. It's okay. I said it's okay. So I haven't given you a drink recipe in a while, but boy howdy do I have a kicker for you if you enjoy banana. Tying into the theme of this video, I learned about this drink when I was in North Carolina. I was down there with Alana and a bunch of other radical queers doing our thing, and I was at a bar that had this thing. They had a banana bread old-fashioned, and I said, forgive me, please, barkeep. I enjoy banana bread a great deal, and I am known to drink an old-fashioned. I've never seen them put together like that. And they said, oh, yeah, and they talked to me about it, and I got the recipe, so I'm going to share it with you. And I was making these drinks at like the house where we were all kind of organized before a big event. And one of the other folk there from the mutual aid space, she was like, oh, I don't know if I could have that. I have an allergy to banana. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that most of this drink has never had a natural banana touch it. So if you go without the garnish, you're probably even banana free if that's your dietary restriction. But let's talk about making a banana bread old fashioned. Hey, back behind the bar. You haven't seen me here in a while. So, as you can imagine, we're just going to build this in a small iced rocks glass. There is a banana. It's just for garnish, but it's a fun garnish if you got yourself a little dab torch. And the magic happens with this bourbon. This is not sponsored, but yeah, Howler Head. Howler Head, the monkey's on the bottle because this is banana-infused bourbon. And you think it sounds gimmicky, because it is. But it's better than Screwball and some of those other awful honey bourbons. I actually like it. I like it by itself, but a little bit of dressing up with some bitters. Black walnut bitters, as you know, is my main game. Not the Fee Brothers that I usually go with. I've done it with Fee Brothers. This is a North Carolina bitters remedy. I think maybe they ship. You can try to find out. I'll link all that down there. And it just, oh man, it sets it good. Now, you can balance this with simple syrup or, any kind of sugar that you want to use. I try not to go too heavy on the sugar in my world, so I just use a couple drops of artificial sweetener because that's my thing. I don't mind the flavor. If you do, well, do it a different way. But the real fun comes not from just the bourbon and the mix, which, yeah, that looks fine. It really does come from the garnish. So let's get a close-up shot of this. All right, we've got our drink mixed and pretty ready to go. You're going to get yourself 1 piece of banana. Skewer that, John, and then sprinkle sugar over her. because some of you might see where this is going. That's right. We're going to brulee this sucker. Oh yeah. That is so gorgeous, so tasty. You let that crisp up. If you go for the extra bonus mode, it's when you flip her over and add sugar there, and you kind of double this up, because that's going to be just a little extra touch of fun for you when you serve this. And I gotta say, it is a delight. That's pretty much what I got for you right now. When you're not holding up a drink, hold up each other. Hold your own, as the poem says. I'll link that piece below too. It is a bright light in a dark world. I encourage everyone to listen to it. It's lovely. Thank you to Joy for pointing that out to me. Yeah, or as Emily just remarked on a post that she made on social media. Hold hope. When you can't, she said she'll hold it for you. And in turn, when she can't, please hold it for her. Hold on to each other. Lift each other up. Here's one more note of hope, by the way, and you might think I'm reaching on this one, but I'll give you one more here. As you know, my wife Tara is a student of many disciplines and many degrees and letters to her name, one of which is in political theory and political science. And ask just about anyone else in your lives who is an expert in political science and political movements and political history. Every time throughout history, and this is like a no-joke, perfect batting average, every time a political movement or political party or country's government has sort of fallen to a strongman figure, right? That is the end of that political institution, like when they're gone. Because the whole party just becomes about them instead of any real platform or views. And no dissent is allowed, and like everyone has to just serve dear leader. When they're gone, it dies. And we are going to, I believe, actually witness sooner. I didn't know if I would witness it in my lifetime. I'm glad I am. We're going to witness effectively the death of the GOP. And it's going to die with Trump. Either with his administration when it's gone, or I don't even know if he makes all 4 years. Nature might just take its course. You know, and then what's going to happen? Like, do you think J.D. Vance is going to like run the MAGA movement? Of course not. They got nobody. They've got his 2 idiot sons who no one likes, and they're more inept than him. We are going to witness the collapse of that system. It is what happens. Ask any of your friends who study political theory. Outside of a pure dictatorship like North Korea, this is what happens. Because every instant that this administration is trying to do evil shit, and they're going to try, and they're going to succeed, and it's going to get hard, it's going to get bad. But every instant that they're doing that, the entire political apparatus around them will be mobilized against them, and the entire populace of this country will be mobilizing against them and become more radicalized. This is what's going to radicalize your 45-year-old like English teacher neighbor, if it hasn't already. We just need you to live through it. So, look out for each other, build your local networks, look out for each other, care for each other. You have to live through this. And I know a lot of you are in a really sunken place right now. Eat one square meal and do one thing that matters around your house. If you can do that, you can get to tomorrow. And you can get to the tomorrow after that and the tomorrow after that. And on a long enough timeline, we win. That is also inevitable. Cannot be stopped. Progress and love win. I want you here for it. All right, this was a heavy video. If it was too much for you, I'm going to end on a more positive note. I have to actually read an email to you. It turned my day around. This was sent to me by a viewer, Racer951Y, and it was because of my elevator videos that I'd done both in the past and more recently, the elevator buttons video. A lot of you got a kick out of the California compliant buttons. Apparently they did, because they reached out and said the following. They said they have a special needs kiddo, and they really like elevators. And it's massively hard to shop for their kid at Christmas because, like, again, neurospicy, special needs, like, what are you going to do? So he was like, I saw your video about elevator buttons, and when you were mentioning different brands of fixtures in the industry, you mentioned this company, that company, and you mentioned, oh, Innovation Fixtures. So he reached out. He's like, I reached out to them as Innovation. I said, hey, you guys make elevator parts, and I talked to the sales department. And I said, can I buy some of your elevator buttons from you? And I thought this email was going to go one direction. I thought it would be like, hey, they told me you're not in the trade, like, buzz off. And I thought he was going to say, can you, like, order these parts for me and I'll pay you or something. That's not what happened. So, Racer reaches the sales department, and long story short, he said, they are going to build an entire panel for my kid. They're going to engrave his name on it, make it so that we can plug it in and it works and the buttons all light up and do things. And they're not going to charge me a dime. Thank you so much for the videos, and thank you for what you put out there. And how delightful is that? There's good in the world. Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. Who knew? Innovation Fixture sales team. Bunch of helpers there. I got one more elevator factoid for you, one more elevator delight, and it's thanks to you all. It is thanks to you all that this happened the other day. Again, this was pre-election day, but I've got something I'm looking forward to. Maybe y'all can too. So in the comments about the elevator voice video, if you didn't see that, I had like a little nothing upload. It wasn't enough to stand alone as a Monday video release. I have the Otis, elevator voice vocabulary files. And I just threw it out on Tuesday of that week. I said, hey, I have this fun video, this fun voice files. You want to give them a listen? There's some interesting messages in there. And people, of course, in the comments, they made comparisons to Jane, the voice on Phone Circuitry. They made a comparison to Bitching Betty and the fighter pilot's, ear. And people were saying, oh, this is so cool. I love that soothing voice. Oh, that's so neat. I never realized I was in Otis elevators when I was hearing that voice. And I knew so many of my friends were really they were really digging on this Otis voice. And some of you in the comments said, I wonder who that person is. Wouldn't it be so neat to find out the story behind the voice? And I was like, I could probably find that out. This strikes me as the kind of thing where the information's out there. And sure enough, decades ago, back in the 90s, when Otis first did the voice announcement circuitry like this, there were a couple of little small town newspapers that had a human interest story about Miss Linda DiMartino. And that she was hired at Otis and she did the voices and this and that. And it was cute. And I said, there you go. There's the story behind the Otis voice. I wonder what she's up to today. And because I'm me, I did some searches, poked around a bit in the ways that I can, and I just made a phone call. Reached a very nice retired lady, no longer living in Connecticut. She's moved back to Indiana, where she's from. And I spent a while on the phone with the Otis elevator voice lady. She is a treat. She is lovely. And she had places to be. She had to get her grandkids to a little party for a birthday. And we have decided that we're going to have a follow-up call this weekend, possibly. If there's anything that you all would be interested in me asking, Miss Linda DiMartino is how I have to hear that voice in my head, If you'd like me to ask Linda a few questions about her time with Otis, I'm going to ask her about interesting voice circuit announcements that, we've probably never heard, that, she maybe recorded. What are some curious ones? Have you worked for any others in the industry, etc.? You tell me. Yeah, I look forward to that. And I'll put it up if she lets me. I mean, I'll tell you about what she has to say. But if she lets me share the call with you, maybe I'll make that a video later. But yeah, elevators are going to keep going up and down, much like our spirits are going to keep going up and down in the coming months and years. But stick with us and hang together and look out for each other. There will be more up than there will be down. On a long enough timeline, we win. Please stay with me and stay with each other. Hold your own, and we'll get through this. I love y'all very much. Thanks for listening. we'll be in touch. In the meantime, stay safe out there.